Welcome back everybody. Today's tutorial for GeoGen is going to be on planets. This is kind of the basis of what we're going to be making. I mean, will it necessarily come out like this? Not too sure. Depends on the colors and designs, and there's obviously going to be differences and changes. So we'll go something similar to what I did with this. It's a bit messy, but from the basis, it's a pretty simple design. It's pretty basic. It's just your basic noise with some masks, sticking them together, then adding a colorize, then adding a bit of discrepancies in here, these like pinky dots there, just to break it up, and then adjusting them a little bit, and then adding a bit of extra tones to the top and the bottom. Yeah, hope you like it. It's pretty simple, there's not too much to it. So I hope it all makes sense, and yeah, I guess we can get into it. Wait, so first thing we're going to be doing is deleting these three, the warp noise, bass, and mask occlusion, so we don't need them. So let's just drag out from the height map a planet noise, and this will be the only I guess height map node that we're going to be really playing around with. Now there are other ones that you can use, so there are these shapes, noise, bass, yada yada. There's only a couple of these work. I believe micro craters, I think if I drag out of here also, micro craters and rocks are the only really ones that you're going to be able to use. So hopefully in the future they'll add some more. I was speaking to somebody on who was commenting on one of my previous things, and they were after some atmospheric clouds, and I was bringing up rings and how I would like to see rings as, you can play a bit more, but both of those are really awesome and I look forward to that. So most of this we'll be doing in just masking and then coloring, but we're going to start off pretty simple with I guess just changing some parameters. So what I wanted to do is I want it to look very large, right? I want this to be a large planet, and to achieve that, we're not wanting these massive dimples, dents, whatever you want to call them, right? So there's a couple ways of doing this. You can change the relative height if you want to have that kind of look here where it still exists. You can change the scale as well. So if that's kind of what you're after, that can give you a cool result. There's no right or wrong with any of these. Also, shoving in a warp could also give you some interesting results, but all I'm going to do, bring the octaves up, then bring that down there just to get some like small discrepancies there, then reducing the roughness. And here we've got some slight height details here, but I might change it up later. But it's pretty small, not too noticeable, and once you add a bunch of colors in, it will kind of match in pretty damn well. But we don't necessarily need anything too big. Yeah, so first off, what we're going to be doing is grabbing a mask, and we're going to input a blend node. So where will that be? Blend mask here. So from here we can add the foreground, a planet mask weather. And now we're going to have two of these. I think I showed in the showing off the previous one that I made. What we're going to be doing with these is just going to be masking the top and the bottom, and these will add some rings once we add some colors in the colorize node, and this will give us a cool little result. So what we're going to be doing is just dragging the height map into it just so you get the information going through, and as you can see, it's all being used, right? This is not particularly usable at the moment, but just going, and you can play around with whichever ones you want. But as you can see here, we can give it a cool design here. You can play around with the middle. I might actually do that because I haven't done the middle actually for the last one. Vice versa, you can do this. Is also pretty good. I might actually play around with this now that I think about it. This might be a better way of achieving it. Shove this in around 50%. That might save us from having to use this blend. Interesting. I didn't know that. Awesome. So this is a pretty good basis. What we're going to be doing from here is adding a warp. That will break it up a little bit. So as you can see here, we need some pretty fancy looking patterns here. So this is messing around with the white and the pink. I mean, if I change these colors, right, to being a green, and I'm not too sure if this will come up too much, but a red there in the middle. That's just the gradient going with the green up there, mixing into the orange over there with the ends. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good basis, I'd say. So let's just play around with the warp noise, see what results we can get. So what we're going to be doing, if we just view this mask here, might give us a better result, or a better view, I should say. Can play around with it a little bit. I might go for some pretty large patterns at the moment. Just pretty good basis. And what we're just going to be doing is overlaying a couple warps on top of each other to add some fine details. So as you can see here, what this is doing is it's retaining the warp from here. So the primary warp here, which is your main one, if I just take that out, this is giving you the basis. Then what this is doing is just breaking that up. So at the moment it's very noisy, but changing around the warp, you can see some really cool patterns coming through. As we get some really nice looking colors. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking at the moment, honestly, but regardless. So to get a bit of a result that I'm more after, what I'm going to be doing is adding some colors in this colorize node and not just using this basic viewing one that I currently have set up. So what I'm going to do is grab a picture of Venus. So just drag this in. Here, a pretty basic picture of Venus. What I'm going to be doing is probably color sampling a bit of maybe, what do I want to do? Potentially something like around here. You can obviously go and color pick what I have done from my color node once you see mine, but otherwise you can kind of do whatever. I mean, if you want to go for like a very whitey and orange one, you can do that. Any other colors. This works with anything. But I just kind of like the harsh color scheme we have here. Just gonna put this to the side and drag that. There we go. So we got some nice color schemes going already. It's looking pretty good. So one thing I might do is quickly drag in a color adjust. I love using color adjust. I think you should always have this here, even if you're not going to be using it, as it just allows you to change, you know, everything that is pretty valuable. Like if you want to change the hue, look at this. Awesome. Value as well, I might bring it up. Vibrance if you want. Got some really cool looking colors. Play around with all these, you know. Saturation, you can change all these, like the shadows and everything. Some blue shadows even. Some green, I should say, not blue. Yeah, that's a pretty good basis. So next what I want to be doing is I'm going to add a separate thing for the ring in the middle. I'm going to add a bit of a yellow one. So going similar to what I was showing before, just going from here, dragging out another colorize node. Oops. Going into the mask. We're going to add another planet mask weather. We'll see. You'll see a lot of those being used with this. Once again, dragging the height map into the height map, dragging a warp into the warp. And from here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing around with the opposite of that, something like this. And we'll go like this a little bit. Keep it. I'll do something like this, so we'll drag this inwards. This is just going to impact, like it's not going to be touching at all of these. It's just going to be a little ring around this middle. And we can play around with some warp side, another warp as well to break it up. Something like that looks pretty cool. You can play around with all these for like some cool patterns, you know? So this looks pretty cool. You get some really cool details here. You can obviously play around, you know, do you want to go Voronoi? Do you want to go Spiked? Like, these are some pretty cool looking results that you can come up with. I'm mostly keeping this pretty simple and basic, but if these also, you know, interest you, you can get some cool results here with some cool details. So what I'm just going to be doing is, once again, going into color gradient, and I'm going to be picking that brighter color. So here, if you want to, you know, color pick what I've done, you can color pick that, and we'll see what that looks like. Awesome. So without that, we'd be getting a result similar to this with this darker one. And hey, maybe that darker suits you. I'm adding this awesome, you know, yellow ring into it. I think it looks really cool. Breaks it up quite a lot. Looks awesome. Pretty happy with how that's looking, actually. Once again, adding another color adjust just for future if I want to. So this is a really simple setup, right? Like, there's not too much to it, and you can add as much as you want to it. So once again, I'm just going to be doing the outsides again, and I'm going to be doing a really darky, like dark browny kind of color, like splotches, right? So that's once again a really simple colorize node here. You might as well shove a color adjust as well while we're at it. Wish there was a hotkey for auto connecting, but unfortunately that's not the case at the moment. So we can go and add another mask weather. Once again, drag it into the height map. Awesome, so I'm also going to go and select the color gradient quickly. So this is a really dark browny kind of color. You can use whatever you want really for it, but I might change it up later, but we'll see how it goes. So just going into here, once again choosing that one I believe, and we'll make it a bit smaller. So let's see. That's just making it really a lot harsher. Go something like this, just drag these down a little bit. Drag that. There, we just want it to be quite small, adding a warp, and we'll do really large warp. So we'll do something really big. Like, we don't want it to be something small like that. Well, I'm not for this. I want it to be quite harsh. I'm gonna also bring these down just to clip those. Change the height intensity. I don't think we're going to be able to get too much more than that. So we can play around with maybe that. See what this looks like. So just going into here, first like that, we added a little bit of so let me mask that, and let's change. Let's see. Let's play around with these values. I'm guessing that is kind of. Let me change this again to a single color, and we're just going to be going green, just so I can visualize this a little bit better. So this is not at all what I'm wanting. Set that there. Play around with these. So I want it to be like really harsh and really obvious. That I want to clip a lot of that, so let's see what we can do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background mask of the original one. This is just going to clip it so it should only just be these top regions as well. And we can keep playing around with this just until we can get a result that we're pretty happy with. Bring these inwards. see what's going to give us the result that we're after. Maybe dimming it a little bit and then adding a bit of a... Let's go to this colorize, let's turn it to brown as that's sort of the result that we're going to be after. Let's see. Playing around with it, you can sort of see what it's doing here. I'm going to break it up a little bit once again. Gives you some pretty interesting results there, so maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Make it a little bit subtler. I mean, it looks pretty cool as it is now, but we'll go break it up a little bit. So it's just going to be playing around with these. So the values, saturations, vibrance, maybe turn that down a bit. Let's add a, go back into the colors. I'm just going to change this back around to this. I'm going to do darker than what we currently have because it matches too well. There we go, that's a bit darker. And as you can see, we're getting slightly different results. So here, before, after, before, after. So it gives it some cool, like, windy, weather-looking kind of results there. I'm just going back in once again. This is the before, this is the after, and it breaks it up, you know, those top regions. And I think this looks really cool. Like, you know, changing the resolution here, you can get some nice results. So even going up to 4K. Usually I'll go 8K for like my views. The last one that I was showing off was also 8K. So, I mean, as you can see, it's nice having that slight bit of, you know, detail there. I might tone that down even more. Play around with these Voronoi. Not these Voronoi, these octaves. Roughness as well. Just so it's still existent, you know, it's almost like there's like mountains and stuff going on. But I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this looks. So, yeah, I guess I'll go over it just in case anybody's interested. Let me plug that in. We're going to do one last colorize node. What we're going to be doing here is, let me see. Wait, so we're just going to add a little bit of extra details just to these areas that kind of don't have too much going on for them. So I'm just going to change this once again to something like either green or blue, just so it's really obvious. Yeah, sweet. So we're just going to add a mask. We're going to add another planet. Oh, you can almost go noise almost. Something really small even. Add a module, background mask of the original one I'll go with. Not too sure what modulation does. Let me see. Don't see it doing anything, so I'm not too sure what it does actually. In that case, we add a warp as well. Might as well. Give it a bit of a small thing there. We can tone this down a bit. Let's go intensity, multiply, let's see. Something there like speckly, it's pretty good. We can go change this. I mean, you can go single. And we can change it to like a, let's see, like even a dark red will look pretty good. Then just changing the mask remap so it's like darker. Gives it a little bit of, yeah, you can see it kind of breaks it up a little bit. And once again, you can also go color grading if that's what suits you. Get a fancy little thing there, and as you can see, it just breaks it up a little bit. Adds a little bit of extra. So once again, just going here, we got the before and the after. Gives a little bit of extra detail just for if that's, you know, what you're after. Before, after, very small, Not too noticeable. Does break it up and gives it a little bit of a cool. I don't know. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't like it, not too sure. Sweet. So now, you know, this has been a pretty long video, so all I'm going to be doing is just probably summarizing it, summing it up. I'm just going to quickly save it. I'd recommend doing the same if you haven't. Sweet, so with it saved, all I'm going to be doing is playing around with the renderer. So what we're going to be doing is you can play around with the lighting, find where you like it. You know, maybe I like it there. You can change the elevation if that so suits you, so I might bring it up to a little bit of an angle there. Something like that looks pretty cool. Playing around with the sun size can give you different results. Sorry, the sun intensity. Sun color as well can give you some cool looking results there as well. So maybe just darkening that up a little bit, give you some cool results. Next up, we're going to be adding a atmosphere. Pretty cool, huh? Sweet. So for the atmosphere, we're going to be increasing the atmosphere distance scale. So the thing here is from here, you've got a really harsh outline of the atmosphere. Personally, not my favorite. I do kind of like the effect it's having here, but the issue that I have with these atmospheres is you kind of, it's hard to find an in-between. So going something pretty high here will give you sort of like it, not beveled, but it's kind of like a smooth gradient. So it's going from the atmosphere out of it. So from here, we're just going to be playing around with the scatter relay. And I might go for like an orangey, browny, yellowy tone for it just to match the color. I mean, it's pretty cool looking already. And maybe that's, you know, that fits what you want to be going with. But for me, I want to go something, you know, browny to match the colors. I might go to bring this one up, and we're already getting a pretty nice result here. Let's play around with this, see what we can get here. So around here, we're getting pretty nice. Like, turning it off, on, off, on. You can play around with it to give you more of the result that you're after. Something like that looks pretty cool. So it does dull out a lot of the colors as well, but, you know, it's kind of part of it. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. So next we're going to be playing around with the density. I might bring that down a bit, just so it's a slight ring around it. You can play around with the scatter. I don't think this changes too much. It's very small details that I believe this changes quite a lot when it comes to on terrains, but in planets, I haven't seen this too noticeable. Could also be, you know, bringing this up quite a lot as well, to get a bit better result there. Play around with that a little bit as well. Absorption, that just changes, I guess, a little bit more of the hue. Sometimes you'll have, depending on where the color tone is, it's can change that as well, be a bit more noticeable, but at the moment for what I currently have, it's only slightly noticeable with some of this here, so I might just zoom in just to view it. Might make it a bit more like that. Ozone, and change the thickness, so that's how it wraps around, so you'll see it quite noticeable here. Ozone thickness is how thick, obviously it is. Something like that's pretty snazzy looking. I quite like it. Now, the last thing I want to do is just play around with these stars, really. We're going to change, you know, the seed and everything. What I like to do, dim these out a little bit. The bright stars, I don't really like the bright stars that much, right? So I'm going to probably reduce them, the scale distribution, and play around with that in the brightness. I'll turn it down a little bit, so you still get a little bit, but it's not like anything too much. Play around with the seed a little bit. I'm not too sure how much this is really viewable with, you know, compression and everything, as sometimes I've noticed that compression kind of removes these stars, but this is pretty good. I'm really happy with how it came out. I might quickly pop it up to 8K. I was already using quite a bit of VRAM, so hopefully it's fine. I just realized that I still have the other one on my other monitor, which is using 14 gigabytes, whereas this one's using 4 gigabytes, which is already more than my card handles. So this is overloading onto my RAM anyway. So if I close this one on the side, this should run a little bit better. bring it up to 8K, and I probably won't do 16 because I think it will cap out my VRAM anyway, just going up to this. So I'll quickly jump cut it just while this loads. Well, that was actually instantaneous, really, so it's fine. Then you can see some really awesome details and discrepancies with some of these textures. Like, these look really awesome. Like, I'm pretty damn happy with this. You can jump it into the full view. I quite like, but when taking like shots, I like it being like a corner, showing off a bit, having like the black, you know, penumbra and everything. I can't remember all the terms for all the shadow types and shadow stuff, but all that part here looks really nice, and then you got the nice thing with the stars in the background. Usually looks really good. I like it. So, hey, thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully, you know, you've learned something. Hopefully this was helpful. I actually have to admit, I think I prefer this over the original one I made. So that's pretty good. At least you guys are seeing a better version compared to the worst one. In my opinion, maybe prefer the other one. Once again, you can change all the colors for these. I mean, I'm not going to save this, but going into a lot of these, you can go, I mean, I have too many color adjusts. Actually, speaking of color adjusts, you can play around with the color adjusts, and these can give you different results. So if I play around with this, we can go like bluey. That can give you a really awesome look, right? Maybe that suits, and this is why I say, you know, add these color adjusts. Maybe we also want this to be bluey, or change the color adjust. What I'm going to be doing here, actually just masking that, so it's only, you know, changing the colors of these ones. And give it, quite like that one before. I go blue. This is like really cool looking. Breaks it up as well. Going into the color adjust here and playing around with this one as well. Let's see what results we can be getting. Nothing too much that I'm wanting, but it's because of all these vibrance and values that I've kind of got going here. Why is this not changing? Change these values here. Just going to drop it down to 4K just for visibility, but I don't think it's changing too much. That should be changing these regions. Mask. Ah, right, it's just changing the small ones, I'm guessing. No, it should still be changing that. Interesting. Maybe it doesn't make too much of a difference, just due to how non-noticeable I guess it is. It should still be changing a bit more than this though, so I'm not too sure. Like, it's changing it, as you can see, but it's very brown, yellow. We're kind of just going over the same colors here, unfortunately. No bluey greenies, unfortunately. But even then, I mean, it's kind of a cool as result. I quite like it. I mean, that's really cool looking. Abstract D. I don't know if I prefer this or not. This might even be cool looking than the original one that I just was going for. I'm gonna have to save some of these colors actually, because these are pretty cool looking. Here we go. If I change the mask remap, that will give us a different look here. There we go. That's better. That's cool looking. I'm just gonna say this actually is a second one because I'm more happy than I was expecting. Thank you guys for watching though. Been really good. Really happy with how this came out. This is actually a really good basis to get a bunch of different really cool looking planets and results, and you know, it's really unique, really cool. Yeah, I quite like the atmosphere of this being orangey still, combined with this as a bit of a contrast. But maybe that, you know, maybe you don't want that. Maybe you know, maybe you don't want any atmosphere. I think it gives it a nice you change to it, but maybe you don't want that. It's cool regardless. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this was helpful. There's a second load of stuff because I just realized that there's some cool stuff that you can play around with this. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this came out. I think it looks really awesome. Some really cool details. And I think this is longer than I was planning. This is 30 minutes of recording, but there's going to be some cuts. So this will probably be about 30 actual minutes. I can probably remove 2 minutes of stuff. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not too sure about what else I have planned for future GeoGen stuff. I enjoy playing around. I have been purchasing some new software and stuff. I got ZBrush recently because apparently they're completely scrapping that, and I was speaking to the support and they're scrapping that fully, and Substance is having similar issues where they're scrapping Sampler and Stager and maybe Modeler, I'm hearing as well. So yeah, major changes to what's happening in the, I guess, industry with this. Not good. I'm not liking how this is going. Not fully scrapping. The perpetuals, I should say, are scrapped. But I do believe the Adobe stuff is slowly, like, there's going to be less updates and maybe fully scrapping. So, not too sure, but yeah, not too happy with that. So, I don't know, but I hope you guys all had a good one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any things you're after, like anything you're after, I got recommended, somebody messaged me and was like, hey, I like planets. Can you please make a planet thing and go more, into detail on how to make cool looking planets? And, I took that. I'm like, yo, okay, listen, I like planets as well. I haven't done planets in any other program outside of, I guess, a little bit in Blender, and that was really basic following tutorials. So, it's always good to have some of these new software coming out and making these cool new things. Once again, anything else you want to see, if you want me to go over anything that I've previously made, feel free to ask. You got any things you want to see, some more materials and me making materials? I have some plans for maybe making those, but I can't promise when I'll be able to make those or if I'll make those in the end. We'll see how that goes. But I'm really happy with how this came out. Hope you guys are happy with how your one came out. If you have any issues or queries, feel free to, write them in the comments, and I will see if I can help you with the best of my knowledge. Otherwise, ask in the Django Fix Discord server, as there's probably a lot more knowledgeable people in there with trying to, I guess, answer a lot of these things. I'm pretty, a hobbyist with a lot of this stuff, so hey, I try the best I can, but maybe you like this, maybe you think it looks really cool and you're really happy with it. So, thank you guys for watching, have a good one, and we'll catch you next time. See ya!